Alright guys, in this video I'm going to do maintenance on my 3D printer. I've done maintenance on my 3D printer before, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth this time. Mainly I'm going to show you how I put together the extruder. I'm going to be using a new block, barrel, nozzle. We're going to put all this together, and I'm also going to see if I can't improve the x-axis here, because I've been having a lot of issues with this belt coming loose. And that's kind of a pain in the ass when you're doing an 8-hour print and it gets ruined because your belt comes off. And I'm going to see about the clamps here on the x-axis if I can do something better with that as well. But let's go ahead and get started and get this part assembled and put back together. Now when you take your extruder assembly off, it's always a good idea to double check to make sure that your screws are tight, because once you put everything back together you won't be able to get access to these lower 4 here because of the stepper motor right here. I believe you can get to these top 8 here, but go ahead and check them while you have everything off as well. One thing I did notice on the part cooling fan is it's starting to split right here. So what I'm going to do is, when I put the screws back on, I've got these nylon spacers. I'm going to put those on. I bought an assortment of nylon spacers from Amazon. So it's always a good idea to pick those up as well. And this is a universal case. I got this from the dollar store, but when you get a 3D printer, get extra barrels, nozzles, barrels, blocks. So it's a good idea to go ahead and get extras of those. I want to say it's less than 15 bucks for blocks, barrels, and nozzles. So it's always a good idea, just in case you have a severe blockage or something, or if the inner liner of the barrel goes bad, you can just replace it, no big deal. It would suck to have your 3D printer down because of $15 worth of parts. So we're going to need this part here. This is what the barrel attaches to, then the block, and then the nozzle. And I'm going to show you how to install these if you ever had these come loose on you. I'm going to show you how I do it. What I do is I take the nozzle. This is the bottom of the block because it has a set screw in it. The set screw is what holds the heater in. So that's a good way to know that it's the bottom. When I screw in the nozzle, I don't screw it down all the way. I'm going to back it out just a little bit, like that. Then I'm going to screw my nozzle in, and it only goes in one way. See, that's the bottom of it right there, because you can see the inner lining. So make sure that you pay attention. The filament is going to want to go in through the smooth area right here. Screw in your barrel, and it's going to butt up all the way against your nozzle here. Take your tool or whatever you have. It can be a pair of pliers, a wrench. I want to say this is a 1/4 inch drive here, and just tighten it up. Don't over tighten it because it is just brass, but make sure it's nice and tight. And now you know that your barrel and your nozzle is firmly secure in your block, and you're not going to have to worry about it coming loose. Then you take your block here. Oh, getting ahead of myself. You're going to want to screw the nut on. Then affix it to this block. And have it coming out just a little bit, not something like that. Now we're going to back our nut all the way down. And you can see the screw hole on the bottom here that lines up towards the front right here. So just slide it in something like that. And take your screw and line it up with your block. Okay. Then take a wrench and tighten down your extruder assembly. So I'm going to back off the set screw just a little bit. Yeah. We're going to put the temperature probe in the hole. Now when tightening up your set screw, be very careful because it's easy to strip them out. So just snug it. You don't want to go very tight with it. If you strip it out, you're basically going to have to replace your block, because as this is going back and forth, it's going to back out your heating element. You're going to run into issues with obviously heating your filament, and you can run into some pretty big problems doing that. So that's your extruder. That's how you install it, and that's pretty much going to keep it from wanting to back out. Now we can put on our parts cooling fan, and like I told you before, it's starting to split right here, so I'm going to use some nylon spacers to fix that. Just kidding, I'm actually going to use these 3D printed washers I printed a while ago. These spacers are too thick. There you go, just snug on that. That take care of that. Alright, once you got your stepper motor on there, don't forget to install your spring. The heat sink. The extruder cooler fan. This keeps the filament from getting too hot and starting to melt before it even reaches the extruder. Okay. Put some tension down on it so that way you can at least get the screw started. There. And now you can go ahead with the second one. sure that's nice and tight. Make sure your extruder's on there. That looks pretty good. Put that on there, plug in your stepper motor. It should look something like that. Alright, next I'm going to do something about this section here. The belt goes across the top and it's connected on either end here. The biggest problem I'm having here is the acrylic parts are very fragile, and this is a broken piece right here, and it's very thin, very thin, so it doesn't take much to break it. When the x-axis is going back and forth, it's putting pressure here, and I'm constantly having issues with it coming apart. Take this apart and see if we can't do something better with that. Alright, just in case you're not familiar, the way this works is you've got a bolt that comes in through here, and the belt goes in through this loop here, and the bolt squeezes the belt together. But what happens is the bolt and the nut, or the screw in the nut, whatever you want to call it, puts pressure on this piece right here, and it wants to split it apart, because this is nothing but real, it's real brittle acrylic, and it's really thin through these areas right here. So I kind of wanted to eliminate this whole setup here with the way they have it, and I went in the instructions manual and I was trying to look how they were doing it, and they didn't even have these pieces in the instruction manual. They literally just ran the bolt through the lower hole here, and they had the belt zip tied around it, and I thought that would be a much better solution, much easier. So that's what I'm going to try. But just in case that doesn't work, before I did all this, I went on Thingiverse and I found this here where the belt loops through, and I printed this out using ABS plastic so it withstands the heat. And I also contacted the manufacturer as well, and they sent me the STL files to print out these replacement pieces, and I just pressed in the nut already, just in case this doesn't work. I'm gonna screw it in to one of them. I'm gonna go all the way down to where I'm hitting the stepper motor right now, so I'm not gonna put any more pressure on that. I'm gonna put the screw in the other side. And got to be careful not to go in too deep on that one, because that's where the extruder assembly is, right there. So the idea is, if you can see it right here, it's going to loop around the screw. something like that, and then that's going to get zip tied down. Let me give you a little close up. You can see right here where it just simply goes around the screw, zip tied together, so there's no way that can come off. And let's do that to this side here, and hopefully she'll be right. It could be a little tighter, but that's not bad. That's clamped down pretty good. And you can see there's no way that this is going to be able to slip off now when this is going back and forth really fast. It's really secure, and I don't have to keep going through these blocks here. You don't have to worry about it. I do have extra belt, and I could use these pieces could be a little bit longer, so that way I had more leverage to get it tighter, but I don't think that's going to skip. I don't see any problems in that. Wrap for this video. I really hope this video helped you out, and I hope possibly you learned something. The final step I'm going to do is I'm going to find my Captain tape, and I'm going to put Captain tape around the block and the temperature probe, so that way it can help contain some of the heat in there, because I keep this bedroom really cold. But yeah, I think that's a wrap on the maintenance of a 3D printer in general. Not just this particular brand, but pretty much any Prusa style printer with similar extruders and stuff like that. So thanks for watching.